our fourth period, presented by First Community Credit Union, and back up in our broadcast booth inside Enterprise Center after the Blues fall to the Red Wings 5-2. Our post-game festivities brought to you by First Community Credit Union. We're live up on our YouTube channel at 101 ESPN STL. We're going to have our final look in just a bit. We're going to hear from Jim Montgomery. We'll have our soundbite of the night. We'll head down into the Blues locker room and hear from Braden Shen and Cam Fowler. But let's kick it off. First things first, as we welcome in Joey V and get to our Ted Drews 3 takeaways.
It's time for tonight's 3 takeaways, presented by Ted Drews Frozen Custard, a St. Louis tradition for over 95 years. Unmatched quality, unforgettable taste.
Joey, we'll start with a little lighthearted here. I thought the green jacket was going to work tonight, man.
I thought the green jacket was going to work
That
too.
son of a gun got us through a 12-game win streak and saw that team go to the playoffs.
Man, my white shoes, my green jacket.
Maybe this was all about the coffee being spilled on those shoes.
You know, the coffee game where I spilled, I think they
That was the Dallas game, wasn't it?
They won.
Oh.
So maybe I need to spill
You
coffee.
need to start spilling coffee on all of the equipment every single night.
That may be it. Yeah, I may have to threaten all the equipment around me down to the TV booth. And no, it didn't have it in it tonight, Alex. And, it's a shame, too. But, the way they started that game as we kind of dig
Felt like
into
it, though, didn't it?
It did. It felt like everything was going in the right direction. This is what the game felt like in Detroit a few days ago, on Saturday when they were there. And, it was a great start. And instead of a 1-0 lead, you have a 4-0 lead. And, of course, you coughed up 6 straight. So a little different, but in the sense of the start, the Blues were ready to go off the hop. The captain led the charge. He tried to bait Sherrod into a fight, no go, and then he scored just moments later. And then he fought Hamonic on the very next shift, and it just felt like the energy was coming. You felt the group just ready to go. But a common problem that we've seen a lot this year, not a lot, we've seen it in a handful of sample sizes, but when you have your captain going, when you see a fight, whether it be a Tyler Tucker, where is that second layer of follow-up? Where is that next group that jumps into the fight?
Yeah.
You can't have one guy do it. You got to have the Shen hit, the Shen fight, the Shen goal, and then everyone's got to say, okay, let's go. Like, you need Jimmy Snuggerud going north. You need him pounding on the forecheck. You need a Colton Parayko joining the rush, slamming pucks to the net. That's where I mean when I say you need that next layer of support. Who's that next group going to be like? And, with Jake Neighbors being out, Jim Montgomery called out a couple guys this evening, on his press conference that's saying, hey, we need certain guys to step up. It's going to be some heart and soul guys like a Matthew Joseph. Nick Bukestad can be one of those guys. Nathan Walker, as we mentioned. So it's going to take a group effort. But right now, you have good energy from some top guys, and including your captain. But it just, Alex, it just wasn't there as far as that second layer of support. And, Red Wings, they bounced back quickly. They got 2 in that first period, and they made the Blues pay.
Can I ask an honest question to you? Because you've been down there before, and it's a debate that I was having with a couple of people tonight. Was that fight by Shen the wrong time to do it? Because it felt like the Blues were rolling. It felt like they had all the momentum. Hamonic challenges Shen. He engages, which you'd expect Shen to do. That's a captain who tried to fight earlier, but then Detroit got all that momentum and took the lead.
Yeah, I understand the question where, when you fight, you're trying to switch momentum.
Yeah.
So if the Blues had a 2-0 lead in this game, it's customary for them a Sherrod or a Hamonic to challenge Braden Shen. Why? Because Detroit needs momentum, so they're going to try to get into a fight. Hamonic's trying to get his group going.
Right.
So typically, when you're winning and you have momentum, you don't want to be the guy that engages in fights. This is a different situation. I think this is a big picture where Braden Shen was frustrated, not by necessarily this game. I think he's frustrated by the way things have been going lately.
Right.
You're back in a home building. You're trying to get the crowd going. You got your goal, and now let's go. So do I have a problem with the fight, even though the Blues were up and it created momentum for Detroit? Absolutely not. I think it's the right time to go. I think you're the captain. I think you hate the way this team has played on the home sheet here, and he's got so much pride, and he wears his heart on his sleeve. And I think that, yeah, you score. Yeah, you have a little momentum. Yeah, you have the lead. But you know what, man? Let's go. This was about an energy shift. This was about setting the tone, not for this game, but for this season. I think he wanted to reestablish that tone. Like, we're here. let's go.
Yeah.
And again, it wasn't anything wrong that he did. It just, there weren't enough suitors to follow up.
Kind of what I thought. I was like, the fight, although it's a weird time, it's like you're the captain, you challenged, you backed it up. You're not going to back away from a fight. But when you do that, you expect the team to kind of jump back into that. And as you mentioned a little bit ago, just too many passengers right now. So I want to play this clip for you, Joe. This was Doug Armstrong on the NHL Network yesterday. He joined Bruce Boudreau's show and EJ Raddick, and they were talking with him about the struggles of the Blues early on this season. Take a listen.
Yeah, I think we just have to find what we haven't found, Bruce, is a floor yet. We don't have anything to fall back on when things aren't going good. And so, as you know, when things can spiral, you need something to stop that, to get to a foundation and start building it back up. And what we found this year is that we're not able to stop the bleeding nearly quick enough. And, one turns into 2, 3, 4. And we've seen that in the last 2 games. We got down 4-0 and tried to fight back. We got up 4-0 and lost the lead. So what we're finding is when we face adversity, we don't respond well enough. And that's something that we have to work on. That's something that our leadership group has to grab hold of. They're the ones that control the locker room, or on good teams, they control the locker room. And it's really what they expect and what they accept is what we're going to be now and moving forward.
So he said that, and then tonight you see the back-to-back Detroit goals in that second period, Joe. They were separated by 1 minute and 42 seconds, so I looked this up. There have been 8 goals scored this season against the Blues, separated by 2 minutes from the same team. So in a 2-minute window, back-to-back goals have been scored by the same team 8 times. And you hear him talk about nothing to fall back on. We can't stop the bleeding. So my question to you is, this is a group that's been around for a while. There's some new faces, some younger guys. But is that a problem if that's the case for this Blues team, or are they still in that learning period?
It's not a personnel problem because, like you said, this is, a large part of this group was where they were last year in the second half, where, trailing leads, nothing bothered them. This was a group, they didn't care what happened. They were going to go. So, there's not been a huge personnel turnover. So, to me, it's not a personnel problem. They're just in a funk. They're just in a wicked funk. And, that stat you just said, that's a clear sign, though, that this is a group that's playing very fragile.
Yeah.
When you get scored on, away, home, doesn't matter. You get scored on, mature teams, they just go right back out there and they go grab it. They just go grab momentum. And you get to the offensive zone, and you just have a response. And the response is just this very understanding that we're still in a great spot. Mm-hmm. That 2019 team, I remember that was a big part of their characteristic of that team was nothing fazed them. They didn't care. Up in a series, down in a series, up big, down big. They had a way to play, and they were going to keep going at it. And that's what made that group special. That's what made this team special in the second half of last year. It didn't matter. They were ready to go. They were ready to jump. They were ready to, figure out whatever adversity they needed to figure out and go take that next step. So when you say in a stat like that, when you get scored on, and not only do you not have a response, but you get scored on so quickly after, it's just a sign of a fragile team. And it's a mental thing. It's an emotional thing. It's something that can get turned around. It's going to have to get turned around because as soon as you face a little adversity, that's where you need that bounce back. I think this is a team that honestly is still trying to figure out what it all looks like post Radek Faksa.
Yeah, like who they are.
Yeah, that Radek Faksa, Toropchenko, Walker line, that was a special line. Yeah. That was a line that just in games like tonight, there was just that fixer line, like go out there and go do your thing, and you bring in Nick Bukestad, you bring in Pius Suter, some depth forwards here, but that Radek Faksa, he was a special player where they had something cooking on that Toropchenko-Walker line. And you knew every time they stepped on the ice, everything would be okay. I don't know if we have that just yet. We don't have, we saw spurts of it over that last road trip. He went with the Bukestad, Sundqvist, Walker line a little bit. I think they started some periods, they finished some periods, but you know what? It just doesn't have that same spark just yet. Hopefully it's going to take a little bit more time, but that's a big piece that's missing right now.
Final one for you, Joe, and you've been in the locker room with plenty of incredible leaders, Sidney Crosby, Shane Doan. How do you handle this scenario if you're this leadership group, this group of veteran players? 5-game losing streak, 6th time you've given up 5 or more goals this season. How do you handle something like this?
Well, I would imagine that this is going to be a lot of captains and a lot of coaches having some very, very direct, honest conversations with the team. You know, I don't know how long it took for everyone to make the room available here tonight, but this felt like a night where Jim Montgomery doesn't even go into the locker room.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not necessarily a good or a bad thing, but it's setting the tone that it's not really coaching.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not to take any blame away from Jim Montgomery. I mean, they're all in together on this. But the game plan is a game plan, and if you don't have the guys willing to go do it, really it doesn't matter what the coach says. So to me, you set the tone that I'm not going to go in there. You guys figure this out. You guys want out of this mess. You know, you're the problem. You're also the solution. You guys got to figure it out together. You know, not saying he did not go in there. I don't know, but it feels like one of those where the captains all stand up and the leaders stand up and say, enough's enough. I mean, this is not your traditional, let's just sweep this one under the rug and let's just move on and get a good night's sleep and we'll be back at it on Thursday. No, there's some bigger problems here. You know, this isn't a one-game, one-off type of situation. You're seeing consistent habits. You're seeing consistent behaviors. You're seeing alarming stats like for the 8th time this year, and it's early in the season, you're allowing 2 goals in under 2 minutes back-to-back. I mean, that's some substantial stuff that you cannot turn your head away from. So I think that the next couple days are going to be a gut check time. It's going to be up-tempo practice. It's going to be everyone looking at himself in the mirror and saying, what do we want to be? And how do I want to contribute? Am I willing to put everything of my personal stuff aside? Am I willing to do whatever it takes for the team? You know, I don't know what's going to happen, but I can promise you one thing. You're going to learn a lot about the character of this group over the next 2 weeks. It has not been the October they wanted. You know, now obviously you're going to fall below 500 in the month of October. You put yourself off on a really bad start. You have time, right? It's early. You know, we've seen this team in far worse spots than now, haven't we, Alex, over the last 6-7 years? I mean, this is a team, they had a 1% chance of making the playoffs last year. I remember looking at some of the stats there in January, February, and the Four Nations happens, and all of a sudden they just took off, right? Now, you can't do that every year. Those are the exceptional years. Yeah. But it's still possible. So it is still very early, but the time is now for the leadership group to grab everyone and everyone individually. Grab it and say, what do we want to be as a team? And how can I contribute to the team game, not my individual game, and start pulling the rope in the right direction. So like I said, I don't know what's going to happen, but we're going to learn a lot about the makeup of this group here the next couple of days.
One more quick follow-up, and we're going to hear from Braden Shen with our soundbite of the night coming up next. Do you think they're in a position to where they need to call somebody up from the AHL to maybe set a note to the players of that route? But it seems odd if you're going to do that for some of those younger guys.
It's kind of a catch-22 where you want to set a tone that you want to give other guys an opportunity. I get all that. But you have to ask yourself a question. I mean, is like a Stenberg going to give you more in an NHL game right now than Alexander Texier?
And are they ready for that role?
I don't know if they're ready for that role. That's exactly right. Now, what makes it interesting is that you don't know what's going to happen with Robert Thomas. You know, he's still listed as day-to-day. But if you bring up a Stenberg, for example, I think you got to put him in that top 6 role. I don't think you can bury him on the 4th line. I don't think it's going to be productive for your team, and it's not going to be productive for him. You know, so it's got to be the right situation. And it's not necessarily like, well, we got to call up Dvorsky. He's that first man up. Well, he's more of a center role. Like, what does this team need?
Yeah.
You know, if Thomas is out, yeah, maybe you need a Dvorsky in the middle. You know, with Jake Neighbors being out, if you're really struggling on the wing, then you call up a Stenberg. But it would need to be in the right situation for a top 6. You want to bring up a guy like that because you want to set the tone that we're going to go with other guys if you guys are trying to get the job done. But then the flip side of that is you bring up a young kid, and with a team that's really struggling right now to win games, you don't want to necessarily bring him in that either.
What they did with Neighbors, where they said, we're sending him back down because he doesn't need to be up here right now with this team. Bolduc as well. They said he just doesn't need to be here.
He doesn't need to be here. It's not good for their confidence. It's not the way you want it. You want him to come in either at the end of a year or with a successful group that's all pulling the engine in the right way. And I don't know if we have that just yet. So I think that you'd like to see this team get more established before more opportunities come up for young guys.
Joey, appreciate the time, man. Thanks for swinging by. Great broadcast tonight.
Thank you, Alex. Appreciate you guys.
We'll get a win for that green jacket.
Please do. Come on. Let's go.
He's Joe Vitale. It's our Ted Drew's 3 takeaways. Let's get tonight's soundbite of the night and hear from the captain.
The soundbite of the night is presented by Rocket Convenience Stores. Fuel your car and your daily cravings at Rocket Convenience Stores.
Braden, what's happening out there right now, or what isn't happening in your mind? Well, at the end of the day, I think we're making too many mistakes, and that's ending up in our net. That's not a secret, and that's not goaltending. That's guys, everyone, leaving the front of the net open too much, and they got 2 goals by that tonight. And when you're battling adversity and not feeling as good as you possibly can, you have to dig down a little bit deeper and lock it down, and we just haven't found a way to do that just quite yet.
You got off to such a good start. You feel like you could have built off of that, and it just didn't seem like it could quite get there.
Yeah. We did have a good start. I thought guys care. Guys were trying. Guys want to win. Obviously, we know guys are battling their own confidence issues right now, and that's just not from points. That's from when you win. Guys want to win, and you come to the rink expecting to win every night. You're not getting the results. It's tough on everyone. No one wants to deal with that. But what I do know is, this game humbles you, and we're getting humbled right now, and we have to battle adversity, and I do know this isn't permanent, and we have to dig in and find ways to get out of it. The best part about this game is you get to come to the rink tomorrow and find a way to get better as a team or individually.
I'm sorry. You've, in your career, dug yourself and teams out of this before. Is it just frustrating trying to, find some traction, find the right thing to say, get something positive to build on?
Yeah, of course it's frustrating. It's because we believe we have a good team. And there's some years, as long as I've played, you come in and you kind of hope for the best. And this year's frustrating because we feel once we get the snowball going in the right direction, we feel like the momentum's going to build for us. Guys are going to feel better about their games, and we're going to win hockey games. And right now, we're battling it from all angles. We're trying to say we are saying the right things. We're doing some right things on the ice, but at the end of the day, we have to tighten up defensively. And, especially with top guys out, with our top guy out, it's on us individually to not make mistakes that end up in the back of our net, and fortunately they are right now. And, we've got a lot of hockey coming up here, and we got to find a way to get one.
What's the first step in rebuilding confidence as a group?
Doing things for each other. When you do things for your teammate, you actually get rewarded individually as well, and that's kind of how it works. And like I said, you have to come to the rink expecting to, work for the guy next to you. I really believe when you do that, results come for yourself. And obviously right now, like I said, it's a humbling league, it's a humbling game, and right now it's not going our way. But like I said before, I know this isn't permanent. We're going to dig ourselves out of this, and we're going to get this going in the right direction.
We know this fan base as well as anybody, but right now it seems like they're questioning your guys' effort. Is it fair for them to feel that way or not?
No, guys come to the rink every night. And, yeah, we can play better defensively, and we can not make so many mistakes, but guys care. Like that's our jobs. We're very lucky to do what we do, and I think guys realize that and understand that. And obviously the fans, they can be as frustrated as they want at us, and they have every right to, because at the end of the day, we're not getting the job done, and right now our job is to find a way. We can't look big picture right now. We've got to find a way to get one win and play for the guy next to you and buckle down and build a little inner confidence for yourself and for the team.
I know Hofer didn't play tonight, but as a captain, team leadership, what can you guys do to get him back to the confidence? Or, what are some techniques or tactics you can do to get a guy confident like that? Because you did well last year, obviously.
Well, I'm not a goalie coach. That's a tough question. But I do know as a teammate, he works extremely hard, and guys go through funks. And I told him the other day, it's a tough league. You're gonna go through some ups and downs, and if you look big picture for Joe Hofer, this is going to make him way better in the long run, because it's just not all uphill, and your career doesn't go like that. And right now, I think we're all battling a little bit of something with just confidence in general. And but at the end of the day, how you help Joe Hofer as a teammate is you do things in front of them to try and make it easy as possible on them. And I think that's probably the best way I would say it.
On the opening faceoff, are you trying to get Sherrod?
Yeah, I mean, just got to come to the rink and play with, passion and emotion and find different ways to spark yourself individually, spark the team, or just, I don't know. It's all part of my game. It's all part of hockey. And at the end of the day, I was trying to get a response, and that's all it was.
There you go. That's Braden Shen doing what a captain does. And although he didn't get the fight with Sherrod, he got a fight a little bit later. And we talked about that with Joe, just feeling that out in terms of the situation. But to me, it's a weird time, and Detroit captured that momentum more than the Blues did. But I think that says more about the Blues team than it does about Shen fighting at a weird time. So just my opinion on that one, but that's Braden Shen. He's going to get challenged to a fight. Braden Shen's not going to back down from something like that. So we'll get to Montgomery on the other side. I wanted to play a little of this Cam Fowler audio, though, because obviously a lot of questions on the defensive side of the team this season. So let's hear from one of the guys that plays top minutes, Cam Fowler.
I'm not sure, honestly. It's been a tough stretch. I'm not sure if you can point to one thing in particular, but it's a long season, and it's up to us to dig ourselves out of it and try and support each other and just find a way to keep pushing forward.
Cam, are you guys almost in a state of shock right now that the season has gotten off to the way it has?
No, I think we're disappointed. We're frustrated with some of the results we've been getting, and listen, it's a hard league. It's competitive every single night, and if you're not on your A game and doing things the right way, then things can get away from you. So we expect a lot better, so that part is surprising to us, but we got to just dig in and find a way to claw out of it. That's the only option that we have.
Cam, why don't you think the start was able to carry throughout the entire game for you guys?
Say that again for tonight?
Yeah. Why don't you think that? I mean, you had a great start tonight. Why don't you think that was able to carry throughout the game?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the energy was there. I think if you look at, over the stretch, I think we're trying to do the right things. Everybody in here cares. It's more about the execution, and I think some of the lapses that we've had, have really cost us over this stretch here. So our guys did a great job getting off to a good start. Our captain, big goal and a big fight for us. So the energy was there, and at that point, it's just about execution and keeping ourselves in the hockey game. And that part just got away from us tonight, and that's something that's been happening over this last little stretch that we've had.
Is it fair to say that, obviously losing stinks any way you slice it, but the fact that the losses have been the other team scored so many goals so many times, does that make it an even bigger frustration?
Yeah, I mean, yes, losses are going to be frustrating no matter what, but I think it's the way that we're losing. Feeling like some nights we're leaving our goaltenders out to dry, and since I've been here, it's just the brand of hockey that we play. This is just it's not the kind of hockey that we're used to playing around here. So, and I'm including myself in all of that. We're in this together. So we have to find a way to dig ourselves out of it. I mean, you look at the last 4 or 5 games, I don't know what the goals against average is, but it's got to be high, and all of us feel that in here. So we have to look in the mirror and work together to try and find a solution, because it doesn't get any easier. We're playing every other night, and got to find a way to just dig in here and support one another.
There you go. That's Cam Fowler after tonight's 5-2 loss. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll hear from Jim Montgomery, and then we'll give you the final look after the Blues fall to the Red Wings 5-2 here on the fourth period on 101 ESPN.
Back to the First Community Credit Union Blues postgame show.
Presented by Scott Lee Heating Company and Urban Chestnut Brewing Company on 101 ESPN.
Final time here tonight on the fourth period, presented by First Community Credit Union. Alex Ferrario back with you inside Enterprise Center. The YouTube chat is very lively tonight. They are feeling very pleased with our breakdown tonight here on 101 ESPN. Look, there's nothing else you can say right now other than the Blues are playing poorly. The players have said it. You heard the GM say it, the audio that we played with Joey V on NHL Network. Again, this isn't a simple, well, they just got to fix their defense on the left side and they'll be fine. This isn't a simple, well, they just got to go out there and find a second-line center and they'll be fine. This is a complex situation that, I mean, you heard Steve Ott after the game with me. You've heard Jim Montgomery talk. We'll hear from him momentarily. They've got to figure out what's happening when the five guys that are on the ice are unable to keep the puck moving north. Because the problem, it seems, in that Detroit game, the Pittsburgh game, and then now tonight, is that they try and move the puck north from their own end. They either get stopped at the blue line and the other team keeps momentum going, or they get stopped in the neutral zone in their transition, or it's one and done in the offensive zone. There's just no flow to the game with four lines of one line after the other, after the other, after the other. And then when they're out there together, there's just no chemistry. There's no knowing where the other guy is or crisp passes onto the stick as they're moving north. It's more of a, oh, shoot. A great example is there at the end of the game, end of the period in the third when they were trying to score in the empty net, and the pass to Colton Parayko went like inside his skates. It was just guys not knowing where the other one's at. So it's a wild place to be in because I'm just as baffled as you are. It's something I don't think anybody really expected from the Blues. They talked all preseason and training camp of how important it was to come out of the gates hot, to come out playing strong in the month of October. It's something that they haven't done recently, and whether it's been the pucks going into the back of the net off of weird bounces or the goalie's not making the saves or the defenseman or the forwards turning the puck over, it seems if something can go wrong, something will go wrong for the Blues in the early portion of the season. And you could tell in the players' faces, you could tell in the players' voices, they've lost confidence. And until you gain that confidence back, you're stuck. And that's where the Blues seem to be right now. Let's hear from Jim Montgomery.
It's time to hear from the head coach, Jim Montgomery, presented by Fisher Window and Door Store, offering quality American-made Marvin windows and doors. Visit their showrooms in Brentwood or East Alton, Illinois.
You know, we gave up the 2 goals after the 1-0 lead. I thought we had a lull in the first period. Second period, I thought we started off really dominant in the first 10 minutes, and we took the penalty. We killed it off, but we lost momentum. You know, why we aren't able to sustain the rhythm and the fluidity of the way we want to play has been very frustrating. It's been like that since the start of the year.
You've been talking a lot about puck management. It's a 2-2 game, and you had one puck get turned over in the neutral zone, and then there's an icing after that. Is that kind of an example of what you're talking about?
You mean yesterday's game in Pittsburgh?
No. Tonight's game, 2-2 game, the puck management situation.
Game was never 2-2. Yeah. Oh, their third goal. Yes, sorry. Yeah, that's part of the game management we're talking about. You know, we're not protecting the ice that we value the most. We like to protect the middle of the ice. We like to attack the middle of the ice. And defensively, it's just, you know, we don't give up a lot, and then all of a sudden we give up a chance, like the fourth goal. Like the guy's standing in the blue paint all alone. You know, we just got to continue right now when things aren't going your way. Like, again, the first 2 goals are deflection goals. I got to be honest, I don't know if I've ever seen this many deflection goals go against any team I've ever coached before. we got to do a better job of controlling sticks so that we make life a little easier on our goaltenders here, because, we play good hockey in stretches and we don't give up much, and then all of a sudden, bang. I mean, it was 2-1, and I think Benner made 2 breakaway saves.
Jim, is there just a lack of communication out there when you're talking about guys just not being connected and not playing tight?
Yeah. Well, there's 2 things that are definitely going on. There's guys that are not confident right now. So when you're not confident, you're a little hesitant. So you're not. You don't have the puck as much. You're not killing plays as much, especially defensively. And then, with the other part is just not trying to say this where as a team, you have a sense that, you know exactly where you're going to go with the puck. And right now, that fluidity to our game isn't there consistently. And when it's not, like the first 10 minutes of the first and the first 10 minutes of the second, it was there. When it evaporates, it's like we don't back each other up the correct way.
The defensive struggles this year, is that a surprise to you given how well you guys defended last year?
It's shocking, to be honest. The amount of grade A chances that we've given up has been, and sometimes it's our tracking, sometimes it's our D-zone coverage, sometimes it's our puck management. Something ugly is rearing its head every game. And we just got to get back to the drawing board and work together and, be excited about the challenge and opportunity of how long a season is. You're going to go 3-6-1. Almost every team in the NHL this year will go 3-6-1 in 10 games. Now, we did it in our first 10 games. Now, if we go 6-3-1 in the next 10, we're back to 500. At one point, we're going to go 8-2. But we have to start turning the corner with our habits. The habits get you through this, and then when it turns, like it did last year, I'm not talking about last year, but it does turn, and we just got to make it turn as quick as possible.
Confidence, it can turn quickly, but from a coaching staff, what can you do to help these guys gain their confidence back?
But just preaching the habits and the work ethic needed. I've said this many times. When a goal scorer doesn't score, and he starts to press, the first thing he does is he stops working and he just thinks about results. And I think that's happening to us a little bit as a team. We start the game off great. We're in their end. We're attacking their net. They get a deflection goal, and boom, we don't get back to that energy level that we had just previously. And you got to be able to battle through it. And every team, usually has a portion of their season where they go through this. And you end up being better once you go through it. But going through it is painful, as it is for our fans, as it is for our ownership, and for us in the room.
Jim, what stood out to you about Dylan Holloway? Obviously, he works hard at practice and had such a great year last year, but what stood out about him this year so far?
Well, the last 2 games, I've really liked Dylan Holloway's game. It's starting to trend in the right direction. The same work ethic and, for lack of better English vocabulary, stick-to-itiveness on pucks. He's just and that's what he did. He just kept coming up with pucks today. He's going through 2 or 3 people to win those pucks. And if he keeps playing like that, with that kind of work ethic, his talent's going to take over. He's been pressing a little bit because the season didn't start off the way it ended last year for him. So now he's adjusting his work ethic and his habits, and it's coming.
I was just going to ask about Braden Shen. It seems like he's trying to do everything he can. He's saying all the right things in the locker room. He scores, drops the gloves early on. Can you speak to him trying to get the team over the hump?
Braden Shen is doing everything he can. And I think he cares so much as a captain and trying to help everybody else that at times it affects his own energy levels in the game, but you love it because he does care that much. You know, we need everybody to care and work as much as our captain. We're going to be fine. Thank you.
It's time to take a look back at tonight's game with the final look.
Driven by Pure Performance. Only stop for all your aftermarket vehicle needs.
There you go, Jim Montgomery, and we hit our final look. I love that comment he had. We went 3-6-1 in our first 10 games. If we go 6-3-1 in our next 10, we're back to 500. Ken Hitchcock used to always say that. He used to always preach. You segment the season out into 10 games. How do you do in a 10-game stretch? Well, you went 3 games under 500 in this 10-game stretch, and it's the start of the season. But what do you do in the next 10? Do you get to 500? Do you get above 500? At some point, do you rally off 2 10-game stretches where you're 3 games above 500, 4 games above 500? Because if you don't, then you'll be a bottom dweller in the National Hockey League. But if you rally off a 7-3 stretch, or you go 8-2-1 or 8-1-1 in a stretch of 10, well, now you're putting yourself back into relevancy. And at some point, the Blues, you hope, get to that. Right now, they're just disconnected. They're in a funk. Nobody's on the same page. Everybody's pressing. Everybody's trying to get this team out of it. At some point, when you pull yourself out of it, that's when you hopefully go on a stretch. And right now, we have to wait to see if the Blues can get to that point. One more game in the month of October before they go into the month of November. A lot of road games in the early portion of the month of November, a lot on the East Coast. So maybe some road cooking for the Blues. But they do take on an opponent that they've already beat this season Thursday when they welcome in the Vancouver Canucks. It's a 7 o'clock puck drop here at Enterprise Center with a pregame skate beginning at 6:30. Extended pregame on our flagship station, 101 ESPN, right here on your home for the Blues, 101 ESPN, starting at 6 o'clock. Appreciate everybody tuning in, joining in on the comments. We'll talk to you on Thursday. Once again, a huge thank you to Jordan Deacon, our great producer back in our studios, and, of course, to our booth engineer, Jim Hewer, helping us here tonight. I'm Alex Ferrario. Hope everyone has a great rest of their evening. Blues fall to the Red Wings 5-2. We'll talk to you on Thursday for Blues and Canucks right here on your home for the Blues, 101 ESPN.
Thanks for listening to the First Community Credit Union Blues postgame show.
Presented by Scott Lee Heating Company and Urban Chestnut Brewing.